Good morning. This is the Townsend Finance Committee remote meeting for January 24th at 11 a.m. And the meeting will be called to order at 11:03. With that, and it's remote, roll call vote for attendance, please.
Geraldine Bazakis,
Andrea Wood,
Don Hayes and Mark, you see mute, if you could come on.
do you want me to call him?
Well, he looks like, oh, okay, he's still there. Mark, if you can hear us, you're on, your phone's on mute.
He's my next door neighbor. I could throw snowballs at his house.
Invite him over to share, yeah.
If Mark's on his phone and he's having trouble unmuting.
He just sent me a text, he can't unmute.
Okay,
Don, did you hear that?
yes, I did, but without, I was gonna say,
If I turn my phone on, can he hear you?
yes, if you call him, yeah,
Okay, all right, just a second.
I think he should, we'll try that, kind of. Yeah, hopefully everybody is all set after the storm and has today to recover a little bit before tomorrow.
Okay, just a second. He can't hear you, he can't unmute. Can he vote by phone? By text?
Wow,
I don't know by text. I know he can use the phone as if he were here.
right.
Tell him to try *6 on his
Can you
keypad.
hear
That
him now?
Unmute him.
Can you hear him now?
Hello?
Yeah,
That's from my phone.
okay. Yep. Okay, so you are. Okay, so Mark's on his phone. You have your phone on speaker so that he can come in that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we could, Mark, if you could give voice recognition, you're present in the call.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I am present for the meeting.
Okay, thank you. That was Mark Hussey. With that, we have 4 members of the Finance Committee present, and so we have a quorum, so we can continue. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast live on Channel 9, and it can be replayed in the future. At this point, I have no additions or deletions to the agenda. This was just a revisit based on information provided by Eric, where he provided the Melanson contracts. So we now have additional information regarding that item, Article 8 on Agenda 2. So moving forward to the work session, the first item on the work session was reviewing the supplemental special town meeting Article 1. I had sent in questions to Eric, and I do not have any additional information to pass forward at this time. I had sent out prior to the meeting the recommendations from the Finance Committee. If there is no objection or information that people want added or modified in that, if you've had the opportunity, did everybody have an opportunity to review?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
I know it seems a little wishy-washy, but it's still an either-or situation, where, that's why it's written that way. It's kind of like, which is what we had discussed at the meeting on the 17th.
John, are you talking about the Melanson thing, or are you back on?
No, before that, I figured we'd take them in order of the supplemental is the North Middlesex, request for the 300,000.
So we still don't know though if, supposedly we have to vote it. But we're not going to pay for it.
Well,
Only
yeah.
Ashby is.
Well, that was the question. It wasn't 100% confirmed that Ashby was going to pay the whole thing, or if Townsend was going to be responsible for their percentage of the our assessed percentage.
What I don't understand in this whole thing is,
Mhm.
yes, we took a vote. I understand that, or we're
Yeah.
going to take a vote.
Mhm.
But why did the other two not have to?
It's not that they didn't have to. If they did not schedule a special town meeting to discuss it and vote on it, by default, the answer is yes.
Oh, all right. Because
So-
I thought
Yeah.
it said that it had to be voted no matter what. The override has to be voted though, both at the special town meeting and at an election.
Yeah. So this, and maybe that's good that we put that in there. So I can add to that. So yes, this meeting and vote today will be only to say that North Middlesex has the approval to move forward with the $300,000 contract to evaluate the Ashby Elementary School. With this article being a Proposition 2.5 override, there would then be in the annual town meeting, a item on the ballot to vote either to approve or decline the Proposition 2.5 override if Townsend needs to provide funding. If
No, I'm
if it-
sorry.
Yep.
Go-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
If it fails as an override, does that mean even though we vote positive on this article, on Article 1, that it will fail? Is Article 1 dependent on the override? I
It-
guess.
As
Yes, we purposely wrote it that way, Andrea.
Yeah.
The warrant is purposely written. So even if we vote yes at town meeting, it still has to be funded by an override. So even if it passed on the floor and at annual town meeting, it isn't funded, but if it has to be funded by the town and it isn't funded by an override, then it fails. That's the only way it will be funded by the town.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, thank you, Teresa. I appreciate it. Kind of. Okay. Okay, any other discussion on the supplemental?
I
town
just want to
meeting.
get this clear. So if we vote on it and vote yes, and does that mean that we are responsible for that portion? Or is it just strictly Ashby responsible?
That is what is, at this point in time still unclear.
Hmm.
We had a question out to town council to review that question. So we still don't know at this point whether we have responsibility for a portion of it or whether it's all going to be the total amount will be borne by Ashby.
Do you think it, I don't know, do you think we should, I don't know if we should even vote on that because that really puts us on the hook. I don't know how to vote on that. I really don't. I'm not sure
Mhm.
what the answer to that question is. I
We
think,
hope to have something before the vote tonight. We're supposed to have something today. I could check with Eric.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, I had sent email and I'm sure he's got some other work and it hasn't gotten to it yet. So, yep, and again, this was trying, we're talking about it, trying to get our ability so that we can print a document and have it out to the voters that will be there at town meeting tonight, so that we can have a recommendation.
We just did not have a recommendation.
We had made a motion that we had, it was, and this is the reason I wanted to visit it this morning. We had two, if it's totally, if the motion was, if the amount will be totally borne by Ashby, we recommended that we take no action on this. And so it would be passive yes. If Townsend,
Meeting,
Yeah.
right?
I'm sorry, Mark, could you hit that again?
If it was to be written that way at town meeting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, and you mean that the motion presented would state it that way?
Correct. That was my
Okay.
understanding.
And again, between now and then, we may have a more definitive answer from town council on this.
Sure.
So
Right now on it.
mhm.
can we vote tonight when we get there? Because I'm not sure what the representation of us truly is.
Right. I don't think we can, we don't have time to schedule another meeting and get it because the meeting for tonight will take precedence over any Zoom meetings. And we'd need a quorum in person before the meeting to hit that. And I don't know.
And if we don't have the answer from council, if it's still fluffy, okay,
Maybe-
by the
yep,
time
maybe-
of the meeting, we're
Yep.
going to encourage a vote, because if we don't vote, it's an automatic yes.
Yep.
So we're going to encourage a vote, and hopefully by the time it comes to the annual meeting, we'll have nothing to present to them for an override, or we'll have a small, our portion that we have to put in the override. But we are going to put it on the floor if we don't know, that
Mhm.
a portion of this might come forward as an override, but it is going to be conditioned to an override if any portion of it is off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So let me say this. So, okay, let's say we have to vote on this override for the 300,000. But that's all it is. I mean, it is a lot. But Townsend's portion, whatever it is, but that doesn't mean it means that Ashby still has to pay for the full school, not us.
Exactly.
Correct.
This,
Is that
yeah.
correct?
So this is the question that has, or the dilemma that we have, and we're looking for the answer for, is the contract to evaluate the school a district-wide expense, or is it specifically because it's a school in Ashby? an Ashby-borne expense that goes along with the school. So yeah, so this is only a portion of it because it might be North Middlesex Regional School District that rather than just Ashby. And so even though it is 100% an Ashby school, when the final building and construction comes in, that is going to be an Ashby expense.
And none to us. Nothing to us.
Nothing, yeah, right. So the building itself won't be. This is just the engineering documentation and site plan work that may be a regional, and that's why Townsend would have approximately about $75,000 or $80,000 based
And
on
is
our assessment percentage.
Okay, so that's due to our percentage. Okay,
Right.
can we at least give a close amount of money to what it might be if we have to do this? Do we have any idea how close it might be? I think that's going to be a question that's going to come on the floor.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have that amount, but I don't have it right in front of me, but I do have what the breakdown down is
Yeah.
by the number of students. So I can, let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
I think the number was thrown around 70 grand for us. And
Right,
Pepper-
that's what I thought too.
and
Yeah,
Pepper-
that's that was in the ballpark. I went back to the three towns' budgets and what we
right.
paid for the school line on each of our annual town meeting budgets, and that's what the percentage worked out to.
Well, that's what the money worked out to.
That's what the money worked out to.
We would need an override for that money?
The article is written that we will, instead of taking that amount of money from free cash, we would put it onto an override line, which would be voted on at the annual budget or annual election in April.
If we did it that way,
Mhm.
would the override for us be the $70,000 or the total 300,000?
70.
70.
It would be the 70.
Just the 70, okay.
I think Townsend is, Pepperell, it would pay more than Townsend and then Ashby. It's broken down percentage-wise by the number of population.
Yeah, by number,
Right,
yeah.
Townsend student population is getting smaller, Pepperell's is getting larger, and Ashby's is getting larger, and it's broken down by number of students.
Mhm.
Well,
Oh.
I think if we explain it on town meeting floor that way,
Mhm.
people are so overwhelmed. I think if we just come up with a 300,000 and say we're responsible, I think people are gonna get a little dicey.
Right, it's
gonna
the
be a-
300,000 is going to make people wonder.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It
so,
might, yeah, let's,
mm,
maybe we can talk to the other selectmen. Let's talk about maybe rewording that
I
warrant
think
to
so.
Townsend's portion, approximately 75,000 or whatever it is.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Teresa, do you have a copy of the motions yet?
I have the latest copy, but they're still working on changing, working on the wording as of Friday, so I don't have the
Mhm.
latest and greatest.
Oh, okay, thank you.
okay, so,
I have to stop by the hall in just a little bit, Andrea, though, so I can get them and I can make that suggestion then and see maybe, I don't know if they can change it at this late date, but we can make, matter of fact, I know they can't change it because we wanted to change something, so I must have the latest and greatest, but we can ask for,
Explanation, modification or something.
Well,
Yeah.
the article states what you're going after, or whatever.
Right.
And then the motion puts it down to the detail.
Right.
So it would seem to me you could change it in the, you could express that in the
Yeah,
motion.
I'd like to amend the motion to say, right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, to get closer to that. Okay. Um, at this point, I don't see, we don't have any information that would change our recommendation that's on the recommendation sheet. I can add additional information that talks about Townsend's portion of the 300,000 in there and add that information into the recommendation sheet. And the information about the override. So I will take that as an action from this item to update that recommendation sheet before printing and providing to town clerk to be passed out. I guess we've had a lot of discussion on it. I don't see a need for a motion. Just I take the action to update the recommendation sheet to include some additional information regarding Townsend's portion and the override vote.
So then
That
what
would be
would we
required.
put as our recommendation? Not recommend due to lack of information, or?
Well, we had made the sort of that dual motion before that said if Ashby is 100% responsible for this amount, we recommend take no action. But if Townsend has found that it needs to be responsible, then we recommended that we put this approximately $75,000 into an override vote at town elections in the spring.
Oh, okay.
So I will make that clearer on that sheet. Any other discussion on the supplemental special town meeting Article 1? None being heard, we'll move to the second item on the agenda, which was reviewing the special town meeting warrant Article 8, which relates to the Melanson contract that was signed for them to do the accounting work and prepare the audit reports for the FY22. I had sent the copies of the contracts by email out so that everybody could see the wording in the contract. We had voted to not recommend Article 8 on the 17th, but with the wording that was in the contract, I was looking to see if there's additional discussion and then if we want to change our recommendation.
I still don't feel real comfortable with that wording. I just don't.
Mhm.
I think it's,
Yeah, I will say that Sam had mentioned that he would like to see additional information. It did say that Melanson would come back to the town with the information that if the work was going to put them over the 35,000 in that contract,
and it did, right?
and it did.
Well, when I read the contract, the first page
Mm-hmm.
really is a prospectus, and the things that they said they were going to do
Mm-hmm.
are the things one would have to do in order to close the book.
Right.
Then we go to the second page, and suddenly, out of nowhere, they're put in there as the accountant to the end of the year. I can't support it either.
Um,
Go ahead.
so,
Plus, I don't like
Yep.
getting not signed copies of contracts. We
Okay.
should get the signed copy. An unsigned copy means absolutely nothing.
okay, yeah. Understood.
I just don't particularly care that it's for 2 different years. It's not an amount of money for one thing. It's 2 separate items, and everybody should be aware of that.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Which, yeah. So you're right. It's kind of like it's going for one line on the FY23 budget, to the accountant's salary line. They're looking to add a total of 25,000, which has the 2 components to it. One being the 15,000 for the additional work for closing the books in FY22, and that's work that was actually done in FY23 because book closure happens in July, and preparing it. So the money that we are short this year on that line is 15,000 that was paid out for the work to close the FY22 books, and the other 10,000 is so that the line would have the $90,000, the total amount for the 90,000 to pay for this year's accounting services.
That's one of the things that bothers me, and bothered me from the beginning, is that because they're 2 completely different items,
Mm-hmm.
and Melanson within the thing, went at some length to say they wouldn't give an audit opinion because that's not what this job is. And
Mhm.
I thought that was nice and clarifying. But
Yeah.
I feel it should be 2 contracts. One for the closing of the books, which is what the original letter went out, and another one for acting as the town accountant.
Mm-hmm. And I believe it was, I thought it was 2.
What they said sounded like they tried to meld the 2 together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me, I think for the line, let me get into, see if I can get the documents. Okay, so the contract I provided, pages 1 and 2, are specifically for the accounting services for the end of FY22, which was June, and the preparing of the FY22 budgets. And so the warrant article, so the piece of it is there's 15,000 that was done over the $35,000 estimate that was provided. Then there is another contract for the accounting services for this year for 90,000. We don't have a copy of that contract. So
How can we be billed twice for the same thing then?
They separated the statements of work were separated for the two jobs. The accounting work for FY22 and the preparation of the FY22 reports was on the first contract. The 90,000 for the accounting services for FY23, I guess was excluded the preparing of the FY22 reports.
Do we have that $90,000?
We had $80,000 on the accountant's salary line. And that's where the Melanson contract for accounting services has been coming from. If we had hired an accountant, they would have received an $80,000 salary and health benefits. And so,
Oh, I'm not
Yeah.
arguing that part of it.
yeah, no.
I don't
Yeah.
understand the flow.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had $80,000 when we hired them to close the books, we were still $10,000 short when we signed a contract, which is illegal to sign a contract that you don't have the money for.
Okay. Okay, and
Well, isn't that true? I mean, aren't we still, if we only had 80
Yeah,
and
we-
we wanted 90?
um, yep. And
I thought $10,000 was going into this asked for 30,000. No?
the I'm sorry, it's kind of like the contract for the 90,000 is the town of Townsend has the ability to terminate the contract and just pay for services to that point if we hire a town accountant. And I think that's where we're right now. The amount is trying to take free cash and prop up that line to cover that amount if Melanson is the town accountant for the duration of FY23. So the total value of the contract may not have exceeded the line that it was related to in the budget. And I think that's the thing, that the contract was written based on total compensation package for a town accountant versus what we were paying to Melanson for their services. And it was either going to need an MRT at the end of the year to move money from the health insurance to this line to cover it. This special town meeting is now looking at taking free cash to cover and add to that line so that there's no deficit on the line if Melanson does the full year.
All right.
So it's kind of, yeah, I mean, we're in explaining mode here, but it makes it very difficult. You know,
It's very sloppy.
and we need to get cleaner on that. But if we're going to sign a contract, you got to make sure, it's kind of.
Now,
sense.
the money we're going for in this article,
Mm-hmm.
what portion of that money is to closing of the books? And what portion of it is for the other?
The closing of the books would be 15,000, and 10,000 of it would be to cover the salary if Melanson is accountant for the full year.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Okay. Um, is there any other discussion, questions on this, on Article 8 on the special town meeting? Um, okay, so with that, do we want to change a recommendation or leave the recommendation that we had voted on the 17th, which is not to recommend this?
I thought that we keep it that way.
Okay, and let the town decide.
I second
Here.
that motion.
Okay, so I guess with that, Andrea, did I hear you say we should have a motion on this just to say,
Oh, no, I thought he was just making it as a motion.
okay, no, but maybe it makes sense. If we don't have a motion to reconsider our vote, I would say we have no further action on this item if there's no additional questions or discussion.
I agree.
I also agree.
I do
Okay.
too.
Okay, then we will continue with our not recommended. And again, that doesn't mean the town won't vote for it. Just means there may be some discussion at the with the table tonight. So having these conversations is helpful in that because it has now brought up questions that the voters will likely have tonight, so we can be better prepared and not be juggling for answers and trying to get answers later on. And be prepared. Okay, with no motion being heard, moving on. The only other item we have, I guess before tonight, who may be attending tonight at the finance table at town meeting?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
I can't attend. I can't get out of my house. The heavy bushes and trees around my house are down,
Okay, yeah.
blocking the path, and I can't get out.
Okay, now, okay, do you need some help to clean them up? Not to get to the meeting, but just to get out in general. Do you want?
Oh no, my son will do it. He's just not been able to try to
Okay.
get out of his own home.
Okay, no. I just want to
Thank
make
you,
sure
though.
that, yeah. Okay, and Mark, will you be there this evening?
I will not. I had mentioned last time, my
Yeah.
daughter's not. We got plans.
Okay, thank you. It kind of, so with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn at 11:42.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, and a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. And roll call vote, and we'll adjourn.
Geraldine Bezikas,
Mark Hussey.
Andrea Wood.
And Don Hayes. We are adjourned.